Virtual reality. It's awesome, it's immersive, it's hilariously dangerous if you're not careful. Open heart surgery is a hard thing to practice in the real world, and airplane pilots cannot learn from their mistakes midair. These are some scenarios where virtual reality solves really hard problems, but the technology has limits. That's the upshot review of experimental research on VR. Today, we're diving into a few things you should totally do in VR, and some things you should seriously avoid unless you enjoy hospital visits or extreme awkwardness. Trust me, you don't want to skip to the end. Virtual reality is not for everything. What we've long showed in the lab is that VR is great when used sparingly and thoughtfully. Otherwise, the pros typically don't outweigh the cons. While companies like Meta and Apple have invested heavily in the tech, betting on wide consumer adoption, the review's findings show it's better used in short doses, minutes not hours, and only for certain things. The researchers recommend saving VR for DICE experiences. Those which, if done in the real world, would be dangerous, impossible, counterproductive, or expensive. Virtual reality. It's awesome, it's immersive, it's hilariously dangerous if you're not careful. Here are some examples of what to do and not do in VR. Travel to awesome or personally challenging places. Don't go to VR for run-of-the-mill meetings. Stroll through the ruins of Pompeii or visit the Grand Canyon. The visceral nature of VR lends itself well to experiences where being there matters. In fact, some psychologists are using VR in exposure therapy, allowing people to face something they fear while they are physically safe. One study found that people treated for fear of flying with VR had no return of their symptoms 3 years later. VR's value fades if the environment is not dramatic. While there were hopes during the pandemic that people would turn to VR for more engaging meetings, that idea failed to catch on. If you were just sitting there staring and not moving your body, you probably could do that on a computer and save yourself some headset time. Do play rhythm and movement games. Not only are they insanely fun, but it's basically tricking your brain into exercising. You'll be sweating and smiling and still convinced you're a Jedi. Avoid forgetting where your actual walls are. VR is immersive, but drywall is very real. Set your boundaries, people. Literally. Guardian systems exist for a reason. Learn surgery or public speaking. Don't solve basic math problems. Educators had great hopes for virtual reality ever since simulators were first used to train pilots in 1929. As the technology developed, though, it became apparent that VR did not add much to abstract learning that can be taught well on a chalkboard. Instead, virtual reality is best used with learning skills that are procedural, requiring one step and then another, as might be done in surgery or dissection situations. Spatial tasks where movement and immersion are helpful also work well in VR, such as practicing nonverbal behavior or performing in front of a crowd. The key with VR is to focus on learning scenarios that are jaw-droppingly special in that medium, as opposed to assuming that any media experience works better in a headset. Explore social VR. Meet new people, join events, dance in zero gravity. It's like the future of Zoom, but with fewer awkward silences and more anime avatars. Try on a new identity in VR, but make sure it's the right fit. Self-perception changes how people behave. Studies have shown, whether in a virtual world or the real one. For instance, if people choose more athletic avatars, they tend to move around more. Those with taller avatars tend to negotiate more aggressively. The opposite is also true, which means users should be careful when choosing an avatar. Understand that whatever avatar you're going to use is going to change the way that you behave inside VR, and for some time after you leave, he said. So be thoughtful and use platforms that allow you to choose an avatar that either matches your actual or ideal self. Get creative. Paint in 3D. Sculpt in space. Build worlds like a digital Michelangelo. You don't have to be good, just inspired. Play co-op games with friends. Team up, squad up, or just hang out. It's like a game night, but with zero cleanup after. Avoid cable chaos. If you're not wireless, you're one step away from a full body bind. Keep your cords neat, or prepare to be the star of your own slapstick. Avoid horror games if your heart isn't ready. These games will have you screaming like you're on fire and checking your room for demons after. Avoid ignoring your surroundings. Pets, furniture, family, They all still exist. Also, your dog will not understand why you kicked him mid-panic. Look, you can punch a zombie. But if you punch your grandma, you're grounded in real life in VR. Avoid spinning too much in-game. Motion sickness is very real. Your stomach does not care how cool the roller coaster looked. Remember, motion sickness is nature's way of saying, maybe chill. Take a VR fitness class. Don't try to learn how to throw a baseball. Athletic training is a great use for virtual reality, except when it comes to precision movements. Users have a hard time judging distance in the virtual world. The review found, it's a persistent problem the technology has yet to overcome. High-level spatial activities are great in VR, but when you're looking for down-to-the-centimeter accuracy, you should be wary of using commercial VR applications. You can run in VR, but you can't hide. People are easily identified by how they move their bodies. Research has shown. So users should be aware that even if their avatar itself masks their identity, the millions of movement data points automatically collected by the system can identify them. There is no true anonymity when wearing VR headsets. In VR, you move your body and the scene responds. That's what makes the medium so special, Bailenson said. Natural body movements are so important that the medium literally can't run if you turn off movement tracking. VR is amazing, but like any new reality, it comes with new rules. Use it to create, connect, and explore, but don't forget the cat. Now, hit like if you've ever tripped in VR, comment your worst VR fail, and subscribe if you want to see me test out VR skydiving. Yep, that's a thing.